Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News.
And welcome back to WKYT News at midday. Barbara Bailey and Bill Bryant reporting.
And leading our news at 12:30, a burglary that apparently involves some planning and some elbow grease. A Frankfort man reporting that someone broke into his home and stole a safe containing items worth nearly $50,000.
Sean Moody is tracking this crime alert, and he joins us with the latest. It's our top story at 12:30. Sean?
The Franklin County Sheriff says whoever did this got away with nearly $50,000 worth of the victim's belongings, including his own truck. The sheriff says the burglary happened at a home in Peaks Mill. He says a homeowner discovered someone had stolen a safe, several guns and jewelry, then apparently got away in the victim's truck. He says in all someone stole about $48,000 worth of the victim's things. Now the burglary happened last week. Since then, the sheriff says investigators have made some progress. He says they found the truck abandoned in Owen County.
We processed the vehicle the other day, had some good evidence on it. And we're continuing the investigation right now. We've got some possible suspects that have been identified.
The sheriff says none of the other stolen items were found inside that truck. In Franklin County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, thank you. The sheriff said the burglary appeared to be a crime of opportunity.
Frankfort police were also busy working a robbery. Someone held up the Advance America cash advance in Eastwood Shopping Center. The clerk was in the store around 10 this morning when a man with a gun came in and demanded money. Police say they were reviewing surveillance for clues about the identity of the robber. 3 people are now charged in Lexington's latest murder. 19-year-old Nathan Miller, 20-year-old Savon Thompson, and a juvenile are charged with complicity to commit murder. Miller and the juvenile are behind bars, and police are still looking for Thompson. They're accused in connection with the shooting death of Jeffrey Adams at an apartment complex in the Winburn area last week. Police believe it was the result of a drug deal gone bad. Well, the case against a UK football player charged with rape is moving to a grand jury. Lloyd Tubman has waived his right to a preliminary hearing. Walking out of the courtroom earlier today, the UK freshman refused to answer questions. According to an arrest citation, Tubman verbally and physically assaulted a woman, that is, in her dorm room on UK's campus, and then forced her to have sex. Tubman pleaded not guilty at his arraignment earlier this month. When the grand jury meets, it will review the case and decide if an indictment will be filed against Tubman. A record number of Kentucky voters has registered for next month's general election. The Secretary of State's office says more than 3.1 million people are now registered to vote. That beats the previous election record, which was just set back in May. State leaders say nearly 42,000 new voters have registered since then. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats are reversing course and putting some campaign cash behind Allison Lundergan Grimes in her bid to oust Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. The National Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee says it has asked stations in Kentucky to set aside $650,000 in ad time to help Grimes. Recent public polls show it a tight race. A Central Kentucky high school soccer coach has been suspended for using profanity and instructing his players to injure opponents, and it was all recorded on camera. WDRB-TV in Louisville is reporting that John Hardin boys coach Alex Shearer was caught on tape at halftime telling players to take what district officials considered to be cheap shots.
I don't give a what happens in terms of car stuff. I want to land on the ground.
The audio was recorded by a Central Hardin High School booster about a week ago. Shearer has apologized for his language and remains on the faculty. Central Hardin and John Hardin High meet tonight for the regional title. Well, a movie about a Kentucky football player who beat the odds is about to make it to the big screen. And you can see the movie tonight in Lexington at its premiere. 23 Blast is about Corbin High School football player Travis Freeman. He played football during the 1990s despite a rare infection that left him blind. A lot of the movie was shot around Corbin. Freeman says he is ready to share his journey.
It was humbling that people feel that my story is worth telling.
23 Blast opens Friday across the country, but it will premiere tonight at the Kentucky Theater. A red carpet event starts at 5 o'clock and the movie starts at 6. Well, a just-released report shows more than 3,000 University of North Carolina students, nearly half of them athletes, received good grades that they did not deserve.
The university now knows the scandal was actually worse than most people believed. Mark Strassman is in Chapel Hill, where the scheme began more than 20 years ago.
They didn't take notes, have to stay awake. They didn't have to meet with professors.
Investigator Kenneth Weinstein, a former top U.S. Justice Department official hired by UNC, says from 1993 to 2011, almost 200 courses in the African and Afro-American Studies Department demanded almost nothing from its students. Just one paper, graded not by a professor, but by Office Administrator Deborah Crowder, as Department Chairman Julius Nyangaro allegedly looked the other way. Over 1,400 students, almost half the total involved, were athletes.
We had one football counselor who actually would provide a list of the football players who would be taking one of her paper classes, along with the grades associated with each name that that counselor thought that student needed to remain eligible.
These Easy A classes allowed hundreds of athletes to prop up their GPA, enabling them to keep competing. 5 academic counselors in the athletic department admitted involvement. But all the coaches, including head basketball coach Roy Williams, said they never knew what was happening. Bubba Cunningham is the school's athletic director.
Is this scandal a reminder of how important it is to recruit kids who can make it on their own?
Yeah, it's important to recruit students with integrity, to have faculty with integrity, to have coaches with integrity. The foundation is integrity.
Jay Smith, a history professor here, is writing a book about the scandal.
A lot of people turned the other cheek, turned a blind eye to what was going on. This is a black mark, a serious black mark that we're going to have to find a way to erase.
And UNC President Thomas Ross has described the academic scandal as, quote, a horrible chapter in the history of a great university.
Well, a new risk for people who have bariatric surgery, and a new cancer drug could be on the horizon.
Ebony Williams has details in this Better Living report.
An experimental drug is showing promise in the fight against cancer. Researchers in Chicago say the drug was able to completely get rid of human lung tumors that were transplanted into mice. The drug targets a protein that has been known to promote tumor growth. Surgeries that help you lose weight may also put you at risk for severe headaches. A new study found a small percentage of gastric bypass and gastric banding surgeries are associated with spinal fluid leaks that trigger sudden headaches. Researchers say the loss of fat tissue may contribute to the problem. And people in the U.S. are eating less trans fats than they did 30 years ago, but it's still more than they should. A study of 12,000 people finds 1.9% of men's daily calories come from trans fats. For women, it's slightly less. Experts recommend no more than 1%. That's a look at some of the day's top health stories. Ebony Williams, CBS News, New York.